So Joseph, as Dawn introduced you in a fantastic video of makeover tutorial on YouTube, you are the real deal, and we can see you actually in your studio today, so it's fantastic. You're a famous makeup artist in New York City, and you combine makeup skills to hairstyling and hairdresser, which is a rare combination, so well mastered. You are also a photographer, which attests further your keen eye for beauty. So, Joseph, my very first question will be, let us understand how you became interested in starting a career like that.
Well, you know, it really started when I was really, really young. I mean, really little, like maybe the first grade. I stumbled on some drawings that my mother had done back in the 40s. She studied fashion illustration. They were beautiful, elegant, incredible drawings. And I took such an interest in it that she would sit me down with a piece of paper and a pencil and show me the proportions of the face and how you draw in the proportions of, you know, the circle to the chin to the crisscross where the eyes and the nose and the lip. And I just began to draw. So instead of listening in class, which I was not a good student, I would draw eyes and lips and faces, and I never mastered the figure. She was brilliant. She was a master at drawing an illustration figure. I never got to that. I only got down to the bottom of the neck, and that's what I did. And I loved it, and I loved it. As I got older, my mother was a very beautiful lady, and as I got older, she would pin curl her hair in front of the TV set. You know, she wore those in the 50s. She would pin curl her hair, you know, with the short cut with pin curl all over. So I begged her to teach me. Please, you know, can I comb your hair, Mom? You know, my dad's like rolling his eyes, and my 5 brothers that were horrified that I'm standing there pin curling her hair behind her chair in front of the TV. And that became a regular Sunday night thing with Bonanza and curling my mom's hair. It sort of sequenced into me finally acquiring from a garage sale or something one of those chrome bullet hair dryers. So I would roll. The neighbors would come over. I would roll their hair. I would tease them up, spray them into Jackie Onassis and Zsa Zsa Gabor, anything they wanted. And I was absolutely, if I say so myself, at the age of 9 and 10, I was pretty good. I was actually salon quality. And just to add in that our neighbors, the father and the mother and the son and the daughter-in-law were all hairdressers, and they owned a salon together. So she was very young and very beautiful, very Marlo Thomas in that girl, right, with the black bangs. And she taught me how to tease hair correctly.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she literally sat me and taught me. So I was very...
How old were you then?
No more than 9 or 10.
Oh, wow.
And I really did it as good as, I'm just saying, a prodigy of hair, I don't know. Well, I come from a family of prodigies, so I'm not ashamed to say that I was quite good at a very young age. The Mozart of hair, man.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so, you know, my father wanted me to be something, you know, determined that I would be a professional. So I chose interior designing, and because I was really great, you know, it's just I found out that really what I wanted to do in interior design was sort of push pillows around and arrange flowers. I wasn't interested in the architecture. Again, you see, not really able to do the full, like I couldn't do the figures, you know, in the illustrations. I knew my limitations as an interior decorator, so I dropped out and went to beauty school. And back in 1974. And my friend growing up was a model, and she was beautiful. And the hairdresser that would do the shows for her, you know, so I had my introduction, you know, to the modeling industry at a very young age, because I knew her when she was 9, and she was a model even then. And she modeled women's clothes very young. At 11, 12, she was modeling his clothes, and beautiful Southern California girl. And the hairdresser that would come and do all the shows John Dowden. He was a huge hairdresser. Just the magnitude of he had 3 assistants and 4 chairs and 30 women a day. And, so he introduced me to the salon owner that he worked for, which was in Newport Beach. It was a very upscale, very incredibly an opportunity, an unbelievable opportunity for him to have introduced me to the owner. And I nailed the interview, and I got a job as a shampoo kid. So I shampooed hair right out of beauty school, because he asked me, why do you want to shampoo hair if you've just got out of school? Don't you want to be a stylist? And I said, I'd rather start at the bottom of the top than the top of the bottom. And that got me the job. So I remember that really, and I thought, of course, well, I nailed that. But in any case, I worked next to John. When I did get my own chair in the salon, it took me about 6 months. It was a rapid push to get me on the floor, because I was young, I was talented, I had passion, and they wanted me in a 3-piece suit doing, expensive hairstyling, because we were very high priced. And I worked next to John Dowden, the man who got me the interview. And some of his clients were Betty Ford, the first lady of our country at the time, 75. So there I was. And that lasted to about 1979. And then I moved to New York City. And as they say, the rest is history. I don't know how famous I am. I've always said that in the industry, I'm very, very well known. I have a great reputation for my workmanship in the industry. My insecurities, or my, coming from Orange County and not really coming from much, I just never felt like, I didn't saddle up, in New York to be branded and, have a brand and a book and, and all kinds of things. So it's a wonderful opportunity to be with you here with you now, and talk to you a little bit about what I know, because I didn't write a book, but you could write a book.
Well, I'm not sure I would be able to write, but you certainly have a vast experience. And, Dawn also mentioned your vast experience, but just looking at your blog and the quality of the image and the quality of the pictures that you show on your blog, and the whole video, which by the way I watched from beginning to end, and it was quite long, shows how experienced and knowledgeable you are. So but that brings me to my second question. I'd like to understand in this experience, I'd like to understand considering that you've seen so many different faces, what helps you understand beauty for each? Can you tell us what is the goal of makeup? Beyond a job, a job for a photo shoot where it needs to catch lighting. I'd like to understand what you think of makeup outside of the fashion industry, in a way. Okay,
I think I understand your question. Well, I consider makeup to be an enhancement. I'm not drawn to the look of disguising one's face with makeup. It's not to say that I don't think a lot of makeup can be worn and done correctly, but it's about the subtlety of the enhancement of the bare face. See, the bare face to me is where the beauty, all the indications of the face are all exhibited in the bare face. So when I see a lot of makeup, I'm trying to determine if she couldn't be more beautiful if she were just enhanced as opposed to over made up. So makeup is not made to disguise or camouflage one's appearance. It's really there to enhance. And I think that like as a woman ages, she considers aging to be some, kind of a hazard. And I see it as an asset. I think the aging is what shows the life lived, and it's beautiful to me. I think it's the biggest hurdle women are getting over these days is
It is.
embracing the beauty of their age and at any age. And I think that's my platform. That's my goal. I want to reach out. I want women to know that I'm telling you, it 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 women only become more beautiful with age. And I'm talking about wrinkles and lines and sags, all of it. I don't judge people if they want to fill and freeze and fluff and pull and pinch and all the things that women run to do. Some women, not all women, but some women do. I have no judgment to that. And I think if it's done right, there again,
Yeah,
like it
it
should
can
be an
happen.
enhancement, not a transformation. So it's, I guess beauty is in the embracing of yourself as a woman. And it starts from that. So you take the bare face and you examine and see and recognize yourself. You've been with yourself your whole life. Every day is another day with yourself. And that time in the mirror, the time that you want to groom and comb your hair and put your mascara and your lipstick or eyebrow pencil or cover a pimple or a brown spot, that's all good stuff. Get in there but it's about loving the beauty and that you started with with the clean face.
Can
Really
you
embrace
tell
that.
us a bit more about the fact that you think there's nothing more beautiful than a bare face?
Well, I have to say, well, I kind of feel that I sort of explained it just now by saying that when you come out of the shower, maybe your head's wrapped in a towel, and your face is full of water. Our skin is a sponge, so our face is full of water. So you really do get very refreshed. Water is an amazing, thing for the skin and the body and the way that even the electricity in your body all gets aligned through water. And we're 70 some percent water. Anyway, you come out, you look at yourself in the mirror, you have this bare version, this bare-faced version of yourself. The beauty and no matter what age you've acquired, and are continue to acquire. We're all aging. No one gets out of that alive. And it's just to learn to start with that, to see the beauty in that, to just embrace. When I see a bare face, say a woman sits down, she's in makeup on, and I'm massaging cream and toner and all kinds of things. Gosh, I see the eyes, I see the cheeks, I see the mouth, I see sometimes what's left of the brows, because that was the trick everyone thought, tweeze your eyebrows out. But that is where I engage. That's when I begin to see the story. And I'm also a very yes.
What I find interesting in your profile and is the fact that you have this multiple perspective of looking at a face, because looking from a hairdresser perspective is one side, looking from a hairstylist perspective is even a different side of it, looking from a makeup artist perspective and a photographer perspective. So you're kind of having a holistic approach.
Yeah. Oh no, it's been quite an experience to become a photographer. For so much of my career, I would just do the makeup and hair in the dressing room, and then you just hand the model over to the stylist, who hands her over to the photographer, and then you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you have some idea if you work in a studio. Often they know how you apply makeup. They know, makeup has a certain tension on the face. You might need certain light to reflect it best. And the photography studios that I worked with continuously, particularly for beauty campaigns and things, they knew my makeup, I knew their light, I knew the girl would be beautiful in the end, but it was out of my hands.
Yeah, of course.
It was out of my hands. And after an hour, on a face, you kind of hate to give it away. You're like, I want to hold on to her. It was hard to let her go. She was, my
So
beautiful
how
creation.
different made the fact that you became photographer? How that changed your approach?
Well, like I said, the difference and what surprised me was that I went lighter on the makeup.
Ah,
I
that's
used to, yeah,
interesting.
I was looking through my lens, even though I didn't have my camera up. I knew what my lens would see. I knew what my camera would see. I knew what my computer would, when the film was put in. I still call it film. When the images were put in, um, which is another story because I did predominantly in my career, all the way up at about 2002 or three, it was always film. So makeup had to be absolutely perfect. So in order for skin to look beautiful in film, it had to be applied in a way that it didn't weight the face down or crack the lines or all that. I was very in tune with that. And I did a really beautiful job. And of course, the lighting and, amazing photographers. I worked with brilliant, brilliant men and women. Um, so, to get back to your question, when I started doing photography, I saw through the lens eye. I could putting makeup on, and I thought, "Ooh, this is what the photographers
Are
are
looking
looking.
for.
Yeah, this is what this is all they need. It didn't need quite as much as I was doing, you know. And of course, there's always that element of you don't know how the lighting's going to go, so you want to make sure that no matter what they do, it'll look beautiful. So you apply accordingly. But as a photographer, and then of course, I have to say, it's become so much more personal. You know, it's such a slower process. There's not that push to get them on set. It's really, really engaging, and it's very, very personal. And I think the connection between me and the model has become elevated now to another level,
Of course,
or
yeah.
any subject, because then I turn my lens on them. And as a model, because from your modeling, you have to engage with the photographer. You have to know what he's feeling. And a good photographer will engage you, and they will provoke love and happiness and joy to come through the eyes and through the face. I find it much more personal now and much more of a loving experience all around. And I'm thrilled. I wish I could have somebody every day in my chair.
Well, in your bio, in your blog, you talk about your experience with Rick Guidotti and how he, as a photographer, taught you that beauty is all from within.
Right.
Can you share
Well,
a bit more
I'd
about
love
that?
to. I would love to. Rick Guidotti, he was a big fashion and beauty photographer during the same time that I was. We didn't meet till 1997. Just inadvertently, it wasn't on a job or anyone. I knew of him, and even his studio was near my apartment. And I always thought, when somebody say, "Oh, you should work with Rick Guidotti," and people said that to me all the time. He would love your work. And I wasn't somebody that would call a photographer and say, "Hey, someone told me to give you a call." So we met by accident, just socially. And he responded to me and my sensibility and my approach, as a makeup artist, because not just he hadn't seen any makeup that I'd done, but he felt my personality and my just my approach and my feeling about life. And he's a deep guy, I mean, he's funny as anyone I've ever met, but he's really, really deep. And he said to me, I'm working on a project with girls with albinism. And I want to do a magazine spread to sort of bring them into the beauty standard, because I think they're beautiful and nobody's photographing them. It's 1997. This is way before I truly believe that he was the author of celebrating diversity.
Yes,
The beauty,
the
the
beauty
diversity,
diversity, yeah.
the diversity of beauty. I mean, these girls walked in with their head hanging down, no self-esteem. They've been called freaks all their life. They weren't models. They were just girls with albinism. And we had a team, you know, brilliant hair. I did the makeup, fabulous, just top stylist with runway clothes, a rack of runway clothes, and Rick Guidotti. And we took them and we just made them feel absolutely
Wonderful.
beautiful. Oh my God. And we looked at each other at the end of the day, and it was almost like we all had to hold back our emotion because we said, this isn't a fashion story. This is a human story. This is a human story. Well, of course, none of the magazines would pick it up. No one would touch it.
Oh,
And
really?
we thought we had just done something, and they're beautiful images. Well, finally, he got an appointment with somebody at Life magazine. And that was sort of like, okay, Life magazine. Well, it was somebody who was the assistant to the assistant. I mean, I always tell the story like this. He might tell it differently. But as it turned out, the editor-in-chief of Life magazine saw all the images laid out on a table. You know, they wanted him to just, you know, messenger his book over. He said, no, these are huge images. They were almost, you know, 36 by 36 square images from 2¼ Hasselblad film. Beautiful, beautiful, all spread out on a conference table. Editor-in-chief walks by and says, oh my God, what is this? 1 month later, the cover of Life magazine, Rick Guidotti shows the world the beauty of albinism. That, you can't beat it. That's when my career started, honestly. For me, that's when it started. Because for all the magazine ads and all the makeup campaigns and all the, you know, beautiful work that I had done, this had meaning. It showed me that what my talent and my sense of beauty and my how engaged I was with what is really beautiful was so compatible with Rick's message. And that gave meaning to my work, and I felt like that's when my career started. And we went on to spend. I spent over 5 weeks in Fiji and New Zealand photographing villages. The makeup was gone. I was just carrying equipment by then, and we were photographing villages with, you know, with tin huts and grass huts, and there would be one person with albinism, you know, in the village. And they were, you know, in Fiji, if you didn't have a person with albinism in your village, your crops didn't grow. They really revered them. They thought they were spirits of their past that had come to guide them, you know, and it was phenomenal. Then, of course, Rick went on to do Africa, Tanzania, where they, you know, they hunt the person with albinism. And I hate to talk about it because it's so tragic, but it should be known. He's been there. He's made the world very aware of what they're hunting them and killing them for their bones, so the magic man can make a potion. I'm sorry, but this goes on in the world. In Africa, they put them in dumpsters, and the nuns pick them up and raise them. And the study of this. Of how culturally different cultures treat albinism. Now that was how it all started. But then again, he got an award in Washington from the World Genetic Alliance, and they introduced him to all kinds of other support groups for different genetic disorders or differences, I call them. I don't like the word disorder. And he began to photograph all of them. And I was always brought in, you know, could you come in, you know, just put powder, they'll feel special if you comb their hair, put a little lip gloss on. And he has a book, it's called, Positive Exposure, Change How You See How You Change. And I really recommend people go to the website, Positive Exposure, and look at the book. I think you can go through the
Yeah,
book
no,
on
I will
yes.
put all
Oh,
the
okay. Well,
details. No worries.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I really think that so they know um, where my platform comes from, the
Yeah.
kind of where my work took a shift to really an extraordinary place. Thanks
So,
to the
so
greatest
I think
mentor.
it's not, of course, it is not completely related, but I'd like to talk about feminine insecurity, and my next question is about your experience. You know, people have usually a misconception about the fashion industry. They think it's glamorous. They think it's yes, it's basically a kind of a heaven of ultimate beauty, and I mean, we both know that it is like miles away from that. But what I'd like to, my question is about how do you keep this love for women in every situation where we refer ourselves to a fixed image that is delusional, because a static image of a woman in a magazine is
Right.
delusional.
Well, well, listen, I think women have been made to believe that aging is somehow their fault and they're supposed to do something about it. And they're running through the magazines. They're trying to get advice. They're trying to get direction and inspiration. I believe in it for that. I got inspired by all the magazines when I was a kid, the Breck girls, the beautiful drawing. And they were drawings. They weren't even photographs of those beautiful girls with the perfect hair and all that. I understand the inspiration or the aspiration. It's to aspire to. I think magazines that I think the magazines are there to help, but actually they're there to make money. So they have to play on your insecurity.
Yeah.
You are caught in the claws of the trap of insecurity, and they know it. So I think and I think trends are fun, right? The latest colors, the latest print, trends are fun, but they're costly. If you don't have a real sense of yourself to start with, you need to really, at a certain point. I mean, we could talk about women of all ages because models are the most insecure. Actually, maybe that's not entirely correct, but take it from me. Women all have the same problem because they're having all of this. The problem is that what they see is something to tighten the waist, something to raise the heels, something to bring out the eyelashes, something to make the hair fuller, something to make the leg narrow. They see all of these things being applied, to them. Models, women are looking at this, watching this, seeing it in the advertising, in the magazines. They're seeing all this accoutrement. All this application.
That's so cute.
Like for a word, that's a word for you, Dawn. All this application. And it's so confusing and it's so expensive. I'm sorry, it's costing you. How many drawers of makeup before you give up? And I think that's what women do. Women tend to, as they get older, they withdraw and they give up. And for me,
well, because it's the truth is it is difficult. The choice is overwhelming. Every product claims to be the miraculous thing, and so that brings to you've used probably in your career tons of different products. And you keep seeing new ones coming on the market, and you try them out. And so I think you have a very interesting position on the makeup. Because let me tell you, when I watched the video with Dawn, my first reaction was, I want to know what he uses.
Right. Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I'm not unique in that way. I think we think the product will make a difference. And
Yeah, see,
so tell
and
me.
for me, what somebody said to me more than once in my career, they said it doesn't matter what you use; it's the way you put it on the face that makes it beautiful. It could be anything. I mean, pigment is pigment, right? Foundation pigment to even the skin is what it is. Um, Eye pencils, mascara. I mean, it's all. It's there's an infinite amount to choose from. I never thought of it, the one product being the right product ever. But I did follow my instincts. I learned through experience, application, what worked best. And I loved when they started to reintroduce models like Dawn back into the industry, Nancy Donahue, um, Catherine Roberts, the girls that were the faces of the 70s and 80s, when they were reintroduced into the industry as like, okay, now we can, see how beautiful women over 50 are. I was thrilled, but my challenge was to make them beautiful, not made up, because the skin loses its buoyancy. It won't handle a lot of makeup anymore. You've got to be very careful. You've got to be nurturing and pampering to that face as you're doing it and watching the beautiful original beauty. I mean, when they were girls, we put tons of makeup. When you were a girl, they put so many. You worked in Paris, for God's sake. Oh, they put so much makeup on, and your skin could handle it because it had buoyancy. You had you were a girl. They were girls. These are women.
Yeah.
Now it's time to let the real beauty, as we go back to the bare face notion, the notion of the bare face. That's what you're making up now. You're not trying to look like a glamour ad from anymore.
Yeah.
You just want to emerge as the best you can look. That's that's my philosophy. So anyway, getting back to products, I believe in toner. And you'll see, if you watch my video, ladies, you will see everything you need to know. That is my entire career of knowledge put into one video, and that's why it's so long. And I hope it's entertaining enough that you'll watch it in segments. Maybe just turn it on and turn it off. Who could stand an hour of me? But yes, it's really as I said in the video, it's all about the toner. But every face is different, particularly as you get older. I mean, when you're young, when all girls are young, there's a universality about the buoyancy in the skin. Some girls might have a little oilier skin with pores that show. Some girls might have really tight, dry skin. But it's okay. It's not a big deal. When you get older, those differences start to mean different philosophy, a different approach to your skin individually.
Can you explain, your what is pigments? Because when the very first time you mentioned that to me, I thought, God, nobody explained foundation like this. The pigment, because that's true that the trend today, is if I'm correct, because of course.
I think I know what you're going to say.
You need to have as something that covers but as light as possible, and you don't want to look cakey, and the more pigment, the more cakey you look usually.
Well, that's a misconception completely.
That's
it's a misconception, at least to my philosophy. I would say what I feel about that is like the tinted moisturizers. People are like, oh, it's moisturizer, so I'm going to look dewy and it's tinted. It's not makeup. It's a lot of product you're putting on your skin, especially if you've done a moisturizer already or done any kind of skincare, like a night cream. People think night cream. Night cream is so good. It's so good to clean your skin, tone your skin, and put a very rich and beautiful night cream on. When you wake up in the morning, your skin is hydrated. Then you can go through the day hydrated. You don't keep adding more moisturizer. But a lot of women don't take that step. They don't. Not everybody's in a really stern regime on their skincare.
Because they don't know. I mean, to be honest, I think they don't know the importance of that.
I can break it down for you in philosophy. not necessarily in product. I don't really, I mean, I've not really endorsed products individually as much as I endorse the philosophy of how do you take care of your skin, the way you apply makeup. There are tricks and tips on that with Dawn Gallagher that I do that really explain that, and I could go into it, but I think it would be redundant. Watch the video.
But what you said is that basically we need the skin needs to be moisturized, regardless of what age you are.
Okay,
so
here's what I'll tell you. Moisturizing. You know, you've got different kinds of skin. You've got very fine skin that might line. You've got very thick skin that may line or not line. Actually, the thicker and more oily skin,
they don't
middle-aged
line
women, they have beautiful. Everyone's like, oh, your skin is so beautiful. Yeah. And those beautiful little tight, thin-skinned girls kind of get little cracks and things, but they have a very beautiful chin line. I mean, I'm kind of putting you in that category of fine, thinner skin, but you still have a very youthful, beautiful, tight face. Right. But it will line and it will crack, and that's all good. Don't worry about it. I love lines. I love lines. Oh my God, I love age. I hate to say it. I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I like all the sags and the dips and the crinkles because when the woman laughs like you are now with a beautiful smile, all the lines become like. It's happiness. It's joy. It accentuates the joy of a smile, the lines in your face. And they're there because of that anyway. What are you going to do? Freeze your face and that can't move? I don't know about you, Anne, but I'm getting a little bit tired of looking at frozen faces with injected lips.
Well, as you said, you know, there are judgment. You know, there are different ways of doing it. Yeah. And personally, usually, I mean, the only time I did Botox was when I was moving internationally because I knew it was a stressful period. And right. I think that if you smoothen the line of your forehead, you help feel better and you can go through tough times easier.
Right. Okay. So, look, I'm not
a
purist.
But that's me. I don't claim it's...
I'm not a purist. I've tried Botox right here where I've got my furrows and I had them for, and I was approaching 50. I'm 62 now. And I was approaching 50 and I saw the furrows and they relaxed all this. And all of a sudden I went like this. And I looked like somebody that wasn't responding, For a man, it was a little odd, but I've tried it, and I liked it. I thought, oh my God, I look so peaceful. I look peaceful. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think what they've done with it, because it's costs more money, the more you inject, the more money they charge. It's into thousands of dollars for one Botox sitting that lasts 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you don't want to freeze your face, it even costs you more because it doesn't last for 3 months. You know, if you still want to have some.
Right. So there's artistry in plastic surgery. There's artistry in Botox, or what they call muscle relaxants now. They don't call it Botox anymore. They call it muscle relaxant.
Well, true.
Injectable muscle relaxant. They've taken the Botox, which sounds like, botulism. It's still the same thing, but they've softened the approach. The fillers, there's an art to all that. There is, and it can be beautifully done. Mm-hmm. But my approach with makeup, particularly as women get older, is to pull back, withdraw a little bit from the expectation that you're going to be younger. Yeah. Think of it as looking better, looking fresher, feeling, when you look at yourself, the little tiny things you don't like. If you have some bags under your eyes and you want to go and have those taken away, I'll bet you'll feel like you look 15 younger for the rest of your life. And I encourage that. I'm not a purist. I'm just saying that I draw the line where people feel that there is something wrong with them because they're aging, that somehow this is something wrong. There's a hazard. There's a roadblock, that it to me, it's just so beautiful, to to see the face with the life, and we know, look, let's face it, as women get older, I think age is their beauty. It's a beauty. Age becomes a more it look, what makes a woman beautiful to me is the courage it takes to be a woman. That's what I see. So the insecurity about their looks or about aging and everything, it strikes me emotionally. You know, it makes me feel like, what can I do to make them not feel that way about themselves? You know, age is only enhancing for me. The face holds the evidence of a life lived. It's fascinating to me.
What you need to know, ladies, is that Joseph told me something that is very, I think, very, very telling. You know, when models arrive for a shooting, it's a very stressful moment. Usually they're stressed out, they're not relaxed at all, the tension is red on their face. And Joseph told me that his first goal was to make them feel good. Yeah. Can you, and I think...
Look, and you're a model, you've been a model, so you connect to that.
Yes.
That response. Now, it astounds me. Now, women know, that's why I say the courage to be a woman. You know, guys got it kind of easy. We do have to kill the big bugs, but we kind of easy in the sense that the women, you know, there's the cycle, right? The monthly cycle for a good deal of your earlier to midlife. There's just an emotional side of a woman that's not as linear and let's get the job done as the male photographer, or the clients might be male. You know, women with photographers are much easier on girls than men are. You know, I think in general. I'm being general.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
there are
you know,
specific exceptions. But what always astounded me was the girls would come in, you know, and they're women. They're girls. They're women. And you don't know if they're not going to come in and say, oh, it's my time of my cycle. I've got the curse. They don't know. They keep it to themselves. They've prepared themselves. They've drank certain teas to keep everything, you know, as tight as possible so they don't look puffy. And my heart would just go, I've loved this, that you can do that you can be the same and represent the same beauty as your comp card, you know, or your agency, you know, is saying, here she comes. And maybe that's not the best day.
No, of course.
Never bring that with them. They leave it at the door, and they are such professional girls. And that made me absolutely love the models. That was my favorite part of my career.
But I think it's a good lesson for all women, is that we need to be so much more forgiving for ourselves and allow good days, bad days. And,
please forgive yourself, because, well, you know, again, I think that when we truly are in our truth and we represent who we are as people, it's the best version of ourselves.
Yes.
The holding back and feeling insecure about, you know, look, if something bothers you and you want to take care of it, do it. But it's not a transformation. It's just there to get that out of your way so you can get back to how you feel good. Feeling good from the inside out. Like Dawn Gallagher said, beauty is an inside job.
Yes.
Right? I love her. She's great. And there's no expiration date on beauty. Another great Dawn Gallagher. Well, so, she's... I've known her since she was a kid.
Dawn, I mean, if you listen to the previous episode where I interviewed Dawn, you feel that Dawn has this self-confidence that many women don't have. You know, Dawn knows who she is and loves who she is as she is. And I think if we all move one step towards that direction, we will all feel much better.
Absolutely. I mean, I think she's a great role model, you know, from supermodel to role model is what I say
So,
about her.
so to,
And well,
to
you know, the interesting thing about Dawn is that before we did the video together, I photographed her.
Mhm.
And we had done a job together, and we really got talking about, oh my God, she said, I love what you're doing, and I don't feel like I have makeup on it, but I look so good. Like, how we need to do something. So I said, well, come and let me photograph you, you know? And when she came in, she was so gorgeous with her hair in a ponytail and nothing on her face. And I said, you know, hey, you know, put this white linen shirt on and let me photograph you in natural light with no makeup. She never did it. That was the first time in all the years that she's been photographed. She's ever been photographed without makeup by a photographer, maybe by a boyfriend or something, or a husband. Maybe that's a different story. But she agreed to do that, and I have to say, I think it kind of Dawn and I kind of arrived at this together. You know, this thing, the bare face version. I mean, my
I
God,
mean,
what?
if Dawn agrees, I would love to share on the post that one of these pictures.
Absolutely, I'm sure she would agree. They're on my. I posted one on Instagram.
Oh,
You
wonderful!
know,
That's
I mean,
that's
I
wonderful.
have to say that probably by then there was a light touch because she was just sort of lying on a pillow, right? And I came in with my brush and my little bit pigment, you know, and pushed a little pigment around it, and just knew what would enhance the photograph. You see, I'm a photographer now, so I'm not just building the face. We did a little bit by then. Um, the ones of her without any makeup at all from that. I mean, there's one where she's throwing her head back laughing, and I swear to God, she looks about 13 years old. And I told her that. She said, oh God, I look terrible. And I said, no, you look like a little girl. All women are still little girls.
Yeah.
God, you guys, you don't see it when you put all that. Well, like I said, makeup is enhancement, and if you're doing it to enhance, you're doing it right. If you're just trying to disguise your age and you're trying to disguise parts of your face you don't like, you're making a mistake. That's just my philosophy. So when the face is bare to me, I see the child, I see the whole life. I see everything. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. Imagine a makeup artist. My favorite thing is a bare face. You know,
Well, I
so
think that's very telling. And, you know, well, thank you so much, Joseph. I'd like to know, Dawn told me that you're going to do more technical videos with her. And I think, ladies, this is such a gem. You really need to follow Dawn's channel because that's going to be awesome. You know, the little... I highly recommend the eyebrow trick that you recommended. I mean, no one knew the fact that you
yeah.
need to brush down and
Right. And fill it
fill
and
it
stroke
in,
down.
and
Yeah.
then pull it
The
back
thing
up to.
about the video with that Dawn and I did, and I'll say this to all the ladies listening, or makeup artists that are listening, learn from the old, you know, the old timer. In the video, all my tips about makeup and I explain products and creams and why they need to be used and what stage is this and what stage is that. It's so well laid out in the video. I think to break all that down with Anne here tonight would you just watch the video. It's
Yes, of
all that
course, of
information.
course.
So that I would be rushing and brushing over at the top and skimming over
No,
the
no,
top
no.
of it. It's
That's not the
very
goal. But I mean, Joseph, I'm not gonna. I feel so privileged to have been able to have that conversation with you. So thank you so much for your time and for
It's been a
answering my
thrill.
questions. And ladies, please go go on Joseph's blog. Don't worry about taking notes you will find everything on my post as usual. I will put all the details of everything we talked about that can be viewed somewhere else. So thank you so much, and at another
My
time.
pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity have my say. I do want ladies to know what it really is. At least the way I see it. So be beautiful. You
Thank
are.
you.
So just be beautiful. And Anne, thank you again. It's been a real thrill.